Why, hello there, folks, and welcome to another round of Modern. It's Dylan from Alternate Universes bringing you... That's right, we just said it, but it's another round of Modern. This is round 3 of our weekly Modern tournament we host every Monday at Alternate Universes Blue Bell at 7 p.m. that we stream bi-weekly, basically, on Twitch. On the left, we have Chris Jeremy playing Blue-White Hammer Time. On the right, we have Dan Atkins playing Rhinos. My camera is crooked. I did not notice this while we were live, and I'm very upset about it. I don't like crooked cameras. What happens between rounds 2 and 3? Why? Oh, God. The round clock is also off because after Maps and Chris played their round in round 2, they just kept playing on cameras. They played Pygal. I was working on a buy. My friend Christian helped me out and was doing life totals for the Pygal thing. But I didn't think about resetting the clock. So there's not 16 minutes remaining in the round. There's roughly 50. But how are you doing? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about you. How are you doing today? Did you get enough sleep? Did you eat breakfast? What did you eat for breakfast? Tell me in the comments below what you ate for breakfast. If you didn't eat breakfast or drink water today, I will be disappointed in you. Right, this corporeal voice that you may or may not know what I look like. I will be disappointed in you if you have not eaten breakfast or drank water today. Chris is going to play a Stoneforge Mystic, is going to tutor up something. Dan has a suspended Crashing Footfalls. He's got a Breeding Pool in play. It looks like he's thumbing through his deck for, that's it, a Catcher Triumph. Now, Dan plays a lot of different versions of Rhinos. He actually won our RCQ with a Elemental Rhino deck. But today, I think he's playing Murktide Rhinos. Not like Dragon's Rage Chandler, Ragavan Murktide, but like he's just actually playing Murktide Regent. Which is kind of cute. I know my coworker Mike Appler has attempted it, and at the time, I wasn't too super sold on it. I'm not amazingly sold on it right now, but I understand the idea of just presenting another threat in the Rhino deck outside of, you know, the 4/4 tokens, which are pretty good. Despite what some people might say, or might have said 2 years ago. Now, we talked about it at the beginning of round 2, but did you know that we're coming up on 2 years of Modern Horizons 2 being out? That's right, we've been in the Modern Horizons 2 format for 2 whole years now. There's a Force of Negation countering the shit out of that Colossus Hammer. There's an Esper Sentinel coming down here. Ooh, Dan missed a land drop. Does draw Beseju as land for turn. It's like such a hard decision point to make. Do you play the Beseju or do you hold it to be a removal spell against artifact.deck? What is this thing on the inside of my coffee cup? Now, folks, I don't usually go back and advertise different rounds, but this week we had an adventure of a round for round 1, and I highly recommend going back to watch it. It is a Bant Reclamation taking turns deck versus Blue-Red Murktide, and it's an adventure. I'm there the entire time. You should be too. We can talk about all of the little things under the sun. Which I'm being texted.
I missed my trigger. You can have your trigger. Thank you.
Alright, there's fire noise. Now it is a violent outburst into a Crashing Footfalls gets cascaded and spell pierced immediately.
Yep. And my turn. Yep. Cast. Trigger. Ooh. So to pay the 11, I will not pay the 11.
And then the other Footfalls coming off of suspend, putting some 4/4s on the board. Some good old Rhino boys. Some chunky 4/4s. Running out of ways to refer to Rhinos.
Yep. Yeah, no, they just entered this turn.
Those just came in, they don't get to attack. We fixed that real quickly. It was a long day. We're tired, you know? It's round 3. On a Monday night. It's a long day.
No, suspend gives haste when it's a creature, though. Yeah, it does. And they made that, like, they eroded that, I'm pretty sure. It was kind of crazy.
According to the clock, we're 38 minutes into the round.
And then I'll cast Esper Sentinel.
Oh, man. I can't believe I didn't realize that's what was happening. That Colossus Hammer on that Esper Sentinel means that Dan will have to pay 12 mana if he wants Chris to not draw a card.
11?
I know it's 11 for that one, but there's another one, so that's one more. I guess you could pay 1 and then just not pay the 11 so your opponent doesn't draw 2. But Dan's a little light on lands right now, so he doesn't really have an option to, you know. Willy-nilly pay mana for things.
Yep, yeah, go to block. Yep, that's fine.
Rhino jumping right in front of that tiny little metal person with a hammer.
Yep.
It looked like Dan was contemplating on another violent outburst. Got Brazen Borrower. Can bounce the Esper Sentinel. Though I don't think it's going to matter. The Pure Steel Paladin's there.
Yeah, that's fine. Trigger.
Alright, Shardless going to Cascade here.
Yeah, you're good. So when I cast it, yeah. I'll draw 2 cards. And then, it's like he gets inevitable trail.
Revealing a good chunk of this deck. Folks, this is the deck list. Get out a piece of paper. Write it out.
No, not 12. I'll draw 2.
Like I said, Dan doesn't play stock Rhinos ever. So, unless he sends me a deck list, I will not have one available in the description.
The bottom second.
I'm sure if you Google Murktide Rhinos, something probably comes up. Or it's just like Murktide versus Rhinos, and it's a whole list of videos you can watch. Maybe some of them posted by alternate universes on YouTube. Subscribe to them. They're pretty cool people. The commentator, he would love to be able to eat, and his ability to eat is literally based off of how much you subscribe. So, yeah. Chris has a lot of power on board. Dan has 3 Rhinos.
Okay. Trigger.
Stoneforge will go and fetch another Colossus Hammer here. Imagine that hammer is going to get put onto the Esper Sentinel.
Cast Colossus Hammer.
Going to cast that. You're going to draw a card from the Paladin if it resolves.
I'm actually going to force negation. I said sure, but yeah, that's fine.
We'll cast Force of Negation by exiling Brazen Borrower. Chris will get to draw 2 cards off of Esper Sentinels.
That's convenient. I'll cast a hammer.
Here comes another Colossus Hammer, and Dan just not committing super hard to scooping up the game yet.
And it's getting increasingly weird. Move to equip it onto Esper Sentinel. Sure.
It's going to equip it to a Sentinel.
Cast Ornithopter. Yeah.
Here's an Ornithopter.
Go to combat. Yeah.
What Cauldron here?
2.
Attacks in. Gonna block with some Rhinos. Keeps the foil one around.
Cast it.
Give her a runes. Comes out.
And then I'll pass.
Dan gonna take the draw. See that he cannot defeat that board, and will scoop up game 1. Chris will be the victor in game 1. Hypercutting to game 2. Dan's gonna lead on a Misty Rainforest. A foil retro foil etched. That makes more sense. Chris going planes into Sigarda's Aid, immediately gonna hit with Force of Negation.
That resolves. So you go. I'll fetch. Go to 19. Yep.
There's an Ornithopter coming out here. I mean, an Ornithopter and Sigarda's Aid. Does he have 2 hammers? See a hammer. He's over here making the turn 2 look a little more consistent than I like it to. I feel like there's always a little bit of smudging. Little speckles of dirt on the front of Chris's sleeves. I feel like I'm always watching him, like, scrape off some dirt. You got dirty hands, Chris? I'm gonna forget that I said that. He's gonna walk in on Monday and go, no, no, Dylan, my hands aren't, my hands aren't dirty. Be like, oh, what?
Combat.
There's an Earth Saga here.
No blocks. More damage. Flash in.
Play the Cigar Aid. Attacking with a Ornithopter. Flashing in a Colossus Hammer. We'll put a trigger on the stack to equip the Colossus Hammer to the Ornithopter. I imagine Dan is going to shoot down that whirly bird.
Just like respond to
It
the
has
trigger,
been
but-
deaded.
You can do that, yep. Respond to the target, making sure there was actually something to respond to there. Yep. I was like, as it comes into play, it is equipped to target creature. Yeah, just in case something weird. That would be pretty brutal, actually. As it comes into play.
Dan fetching with the Scalding Tarn here.
I wish we had more as magic. What? Sorry? No.
Oh god, I'm throwing my phone.
Like on my lands, say as.
Went to go pick my phone up to flip it over to check a text message. I just threw it. Oh god, I'm a mess. And you know why I'm a mess? Because I miss Yorion. Unban Yorion, folks.
Go ahead. Tap. Draw stuff. Trigger. I'll play Air Mesa.
Alright, playing that Arid Mesa, that secret layer Arid Mesa that I keep thinking is not Arid Mesa. I don't know what I think it is, but it's... I just forget that the secret layer fetch lands happened.
Fetch.
What a rough product for them to sell, by the way. That box is like $300. And those lands are like $20. You get one copy of each. Like, it's a cool display item, and the sealed boxes might still be worth some money, but the individual cards, like Misty and Tarn, are the most expensive, and they might be $30. That's it.
Shadow of Doubt. You can't guess that. Oh, you got it. First. Yep.
Alright, Violent Outburst. Going to Cascade here. Going to reveal a bunch of cards. We're going to pause at every green card, because, you know, that's what every Rhino player does. I do it all the time. I did it all the time.
You didn't see any of it.
I don't play Rhinos really anymore.
I know what this card does. I'm just. I don't.
Going to read a card. It's going to get passed to me, so I can also read the card. When it does combat damage to a player, it pops a artifact or an enchantment that player controls. I don't remember the name, and I think that's the effect. It costs 3 mana. I remember that.
Everything else other than the Trigon Predator, which I just wanted to admire.
Dan, just or letting Chris take a little peek doodle the cards going on. Putting back the cards that I had to read into the deck, and then sufficiently shuffling
No, the bottom of your deck.
the Cascade pile.
I believe you will fetch land before that happens.
There's a throwback reference to a comment on one of the more watched videos on the channel.
Which I appreciate. Almost rapidly deteriorating. And make paper.
Remember, people at locals can make mistakes. It's locals. Pure Skill Paladin coming out here for Chris Drabini. Using his whole legal name there. It's going to pass the turn. Dan's got Rhinos. Draws a land for turn. Looks like a wooded foothills.
In what way will you deal damage to my first skill?
Going to play Tap Steam Mouse. This is a land for turn.
Go to combat. Yeah. I'm 8.
Cracks in for 8 points of damage. Chris just taking it, going down to 9.
Oh, 17, you're right. I wish I was at 12. You have a bunch of cards in hand? I have 2. You consider 2 a bunch then? Yes. Legally, I don't think you consider that one a bunch.
Dan has a removal spell. I'm pretty sure he's shotgunned here. Because if Chris had a hammer, he would have blocked with the paladin. More than likely. And then flash the hammer in.
Does that work? No. I hate magic.
Saga will trigger. We'll be going to 3 here.
There's a lot of emotion right now.
Chris has a blacksmith skill in hand, an Esper Sentinel,
I don't have a whole lot of decisions.
and another Cigar Aid, it looks like.
It's going to be like attack or don't attack. Which one I gotta think about. one card in hand?
I have one card in hand.
I'm at 9. And I know that card is not elements. So I would have basically got
Make a person.
sure.
You have a person.
And then I will search.
We made a construct. We're now resolving the trigger from our saga, getting a Shadow Spear.
Trigger Cigar is
Spear is going to attach to the construct.
It is now a 4/4. Then you may go.
Passes a turn. Dan has 8 points of damage on the board. Chris is at 9. If Dan has a Violent Outburst and Chris doesn't block,
Got lots of keywords.
Dan has the win.
Another thing, which only really affects Lotus Field.
Interestingly, so Dan sided out his Brazen Borrows. I asked at one point if I could see his sideboard during this game. I don't know if I would side out the Borrowers.
Which is 8.
I don't know if it's correct to leave them in. I really don't know, but I don't think I would take them out.
No blocks?
I think there's too many situations where bouncing a construct or bouncing a permanent might save your life.
I know. I don't think I win this game if I block.
I mean, the blue-white hammer deck does play pierces. It does play blacksmith skill. Like, it does have interaction. Does blacksmith skill just give hexproof or indestructible, or does it give hexproof as well?
Is it an 8/8?
Forget.
It's an 8/8. Oh my gosh. That is an 8/8, yeah, certainly.
All right, here comes a Murktide Regent. Chris goes to 1 off that swing.
Here we go. What's up? What's up? Planes. Pierce to Paladin.
Pierce to Paladin getting played here. Hammer getting slid right onto the construct. The construct is now a 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, 14.
14, 14?
You're going to hit me back for 8, 12, 16. Okay, combat. 14.
Cracking in for 14 points of damage here with lifelink and trample. We'll cast Blacksmith skill, targeting, give it +2/+2.
I'm at 17.
I think there's a little bit of a life discrepancy here. See here.
Oh, wait. 17. Why do I have
Chris
4
thought
damage?
Dan was at 16 and not 17.
Am I just... Is this
Thinking
just
this
my
was a
last
lethal
move?
attack. It is not a lethal attack. However, it will literally swap their life points as Dan was at 17 and Chris is at 1. Dan will take 16 points of damage. Chris will gain 16 points of life.
And I am at 17.
Y'all literally traded.
So we have 17 to 1.
Okay, well, that was awkward. Please don't bounce my token. Please. So that's 8. That's 16.
Dan has 16 points of damage on his board.
So your thing is trample. It does. So your hand
I think 2 lands in hand. Or he has a land and a crashing footfalls. But don't see a world where he can get out of this.
It's a 16, 16. Well, no, it's a 14. 14, 14. I guess I'll suspend this. Okay, go. On top, I'll draw.
It's going to suspend a footfalls here.
Combat. Okay, attack with both.
Chris will go to combat.
That's it. Alright, that's 16, 14, 8, 6, 2. I just take 2 either way. Begin.
And that will be game 2 going to Chris. On Blue White Hammer over Dan Atkins, Rhino Brew number 72. Thank you for watching, folks, and have a great rest of your day.